So the reason I'm here today, I'm at the Cryptid conference in Taunton, Somerset, is run by Daniel Lee Barnett. I was supposed to come down last year. Things got changed and got gone away. It just happened to be the same weekend. So I promised to myself and other people that I'm going to come down this year and meet up with people. I said I do the podcast and I interviewed a lot of people, including Neil, there's Gwendolyn, there's Paul over in the corner, Tommy. Interviewed Amy, we used to co-host together. I've been on his show, he's been on mine. There's other people there that I wanted to hear talk about the personal stuff that they've not really got into, and also meet new people, do some networking, and get new faces to come on your channel and talk about what they've had going on.
Cool. Tommy, you're here for a similar reason?
Yeah, the same reason really. I interviewed Daniel about 3 months ago now. He told me about the conference and I thought I've got to be there. It's very rare that you meet a group of people like this that all have the same interests, especially in the UK with Bigfoot and stuff like that. You normally tell people about your interest in this sort of stuff and you get that look, like, really? But here we're all interested. Most of us have had experiences as well, so it's really cool to meet like-minded people.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we're talking about most of the cryptid stuff here, but
Yeah.
is there a particular interest you have that overarches everything else in the paranormal?
Mine is UFOs because my first memorable encounter was a UFO when I was 4 years old, which was 40 odd years ago. Quite a while, but I can remember it like it happened this morning. I was out on my bike, it was a Saturday afternoon, it had been raining, wasn't allowed to go out when it was raining. This is back in the 70s, I was 8 years old. So the housing estate that I grew up in Manchester was a council estate, so you had one road and all the other roads would branch off it. So I'm riding up and down, going through the puddles. Anyway, I got onto the corner of the next straight. For some reason I stopped. And I just looked up and there's a silver coloured disc right above my head, probably around about 150 foot. It was two-tone grey. No noise, no lights, nothing coming from it. And I just sat there. I don't know how long I was there. Could have been 2 minutes, could have been 2 hours, because I was out on my own, none of my mates were there. And back then, you went in when the weather got bad, when it got dark, or when you was hungry, or when your parents shouted you, whichever, whatever came first. So I cannot tell you how long I was there, but I remember my neck started to ache, so stretched it back down, looked back up, gone. And I just carried on, like nothing of that, like it was normal. And that's same again, that's where the tagline, when the paranormal becomes normal, because from that day, it never felt different. It felt like that is just normal everyday life.
Did you have any missing time as the classic?
I have had someone remote view the coordinates of the day, of the rough day and time of year and the location. Apparently, I was a contactee, possible missing time, and there's things that this person told me that they wouldn't know, that I didn't even realise until it was like a trigger memory. So I'm guessing the answer to that is yeah.
Right, okay. And do you, talk about people that had both regression and the hypnosis, is that something you might have considered doing?
I have considered it, but because it wasn't anything negative, I don't want to have the regression and find out it was more intrusive than what. So I don't remember anything from it. I don't want that. And then I've got the trauma from that. I don't want it to kick off something else. Yeah, so I'm happy to leave it as it is. But jumping forward, so about 8-9 years ago, I was in bed one night when I lived in Milton Keynes. I felt something in my nose. I was literally elbow deep up my left nostril, and I pulled this little thing out, but like a grain of rice. It is hollow in the middle, white, and you get a nosebleed, you can smell blood, you can see blood in it, it's tacky, and it's like, but I was zapped. Don't know why, I was just so tired from what I was doing. As I pulled this up, just put it on the side of the bed, I thought, can't be bothered, I'll be showering in the morning, I'll proper wash, see what it is. Woke up the next day, no blood anywhere, nothing on my hand, this thing that was on the side, nothing. I pulled the units out, I pulled the pen out, moved out of the carpet, so it was just floorboards. I checked between every single floorboard of about 8 square foot, nothing to be found.
Crikey.
But I was having a lot of weird stuff going on up until the moment of removing whatever it was that was in my nostril. So
you might suspect that's some sort of tracking thing. Very possibly, because that was one of the things that was picked up on the remote view. It was either I have had, I do have, or will have some sort of implant.
Right. Okay. And then the other thing, I had a mark there and one there. But so you do that is like symmetrical. And they just were vanished. And that was only a couple of years ago.
Right. Okay. And Tommy, how did you get into it?
So I've always been fascinated with the paranormal, and I've had experiences throughout my life. But I guess that the start where I knew that this stuff was real and I knew there was more to this crazy world we live in was when I was 10 years old. I grew up in a haunted house. There was a lot of your standard stuff. Things used to go missing. You'd hear people walking around, the standard haunted house stuff. But there was one night which will live with me forever because it was like the moment that I knew that there was more. So basically, me and my brother shared a bedroom and we had bunk beds and I was on the top bunk. And I've always been one of those kids that was scared of the dark. I still am, still very scared of the dark. And I would get up during the night and try and get in bed with my mum and dad all the time. And they'd kind of had enough of this, as I was 10 years old at this point. And on this night, I woke up and I looked down at my desk in the corner of my bedroom, and there was a man, full-bodied man, sitting there at the desk, sort of with his head like this, sort of looking up in my direction. But I don't know if he was looking at me, but it was a full-bodied apparition, as solid as we are right now. And he looked like William Shakespeare. I don't think it was William Shakespeare. It could have been, but I don't think it was. He had like long brown hair, had like a little beard, had like a brown suit, big long boots. Like I could see him like very clearly. It wasn't, he was just there. And at first I wasn't thinking, oh, this is a ghost. I just thought there's a man in my room. And I've screamed for my mum, and she's come running in, and this guy is still there. He's not moved one bit. He's not even blinked, as far as I'm aware. And I'm going, Mum, there's a man in the corner, there's a man in the room, and she couldn't see him, and she's gone up to where he was, and I don't know if she's gone through him or anything like that. I was going too crazy at the time, and she'd come back to me, and she's, no, there's no one there, lay down, you're fine. And I was quite panicked at this time, but this guy's still sitting there, like he's not moved, he's exactly the same position. But this wasn't a dream. I talked to my mum about this now. To this day, she apologises because she made me stay in that room that night. And I just remember going under the covers and just sweating. And every now and again, I kept looking, and this guy was just sitting there in the corner of the room. Didn't move, didn't change, but he was there all night. And somehow I fell asleep that night. I woke up the next morning, and he was gone. I never saw that man again, never saw that entity again. But I did have other experiences and see other things in that house. But that was the only time I saw that entity. But
Was it an old house?
not really. No, that was the thing. It wasn't really an old house. I don't know the exact age of the house, but it was right next to a graveyard, which possibly could be something to do with it. The house, we bought the house from a lady, and at the time we didn't realise, but we believe her husband died in the house. We wasn't told that at first, but we found that out. I don't think that, it could have been who I thought. I don't think it was. It was a doctor that lived in the house before he passed, and his office was directly below our bedroom. It could be something to do with him, but I say this guy looked like William Shakespeare, so I don't know. He didn't look like he's from our era.
Because when I was at school, we had an English teacher, and he had a old head, but long hair at the back, and a beard. And he looked exactly like William Shakespeare, and we used to call him Boneless. But it's quite nice stuff. Very posh, but I'd imagine it looked something like him.
Yeah.
But so there are present day lookalike.
Oh, definitely, yeah, for sure. If I saw what I saw that night, if I saw that man sitting on a park bench, say, I wouldn't be like, that's William Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, some man that dresses like William Shakespeare in today's world.
Double danger.
Looking at.
No, like, he was sort of looking in my direction, but not, like, he didn't react to me. He didn't even blink.
That looked almost like a photograph.
Completely still. Didn't, as far as I'm aware, he didn't even blink.
And he was there all night.
Yeah,
Right.
for a long time.
No, you moved about.
I moved about.
About you or tranquil was his eyes or anything.
No, I was going under the cover. I just remember I was just crying and sweating. My mum to this day like apologises because she feels bad that she made me stay in the room. But I kept looking every now and again, like every couple of minutes, whatever, and he was just still there, not and he wasn't like glowing, but I could see colour in things, that was very strange. And there was lights coming in from the outside, street lights, but it wasn't like there was no light in the room. But as I say, I could see like brown boots. I could see him very clearly.
So did you finally get a complete word sorting chase for Christmas?
Yeah, I did. I became a big fan.
To be or not today.
But for me, that moment, like, because people say you could have been dreaming and stuff, it wasn't a dream. I know it wasn't a dream. I know what I saw.
I remember whether this was a paranormal thing or a dream, I just don't know to this day, but my friend always gets me a telephone. She loves puppets. Yeah, I'll tell it now whilst we're talking about it. Yeah. It's something you haven't asked because I forgot to bring it up in an inn. Oh, yeah. Well, I shared a bedroom with my 2 older brothers. Yeah, this would be in our late 60s. I would have been about 2.5, 3 years old, something like that. That doesn't work out my age. Quickly, yeah. So we lived in the top floor of Blufford Flats. Yeah. And we had like a small wine chest of drawers in an oak room. Yeah. And all I remember, my brothers screaming the house down, and they are putting the blankets over their head in fear. Like, hey, I don't got babies. And all of this white chest of drawers was literally going wobbling down the carpeted walk in the walls. Me, wow, like some sort of poltergeist thing.
Some like fantasy. Like.
Yeah, and I remember putting the blankets over my my brothers. But I had like a woolen blanket, like a shawl.
Oh, so you could see, the little gap.
And I remember, oh my God, it's not stopped. And I'd say, I blacked out or went to sleep, and then when I woke up, it was all back to normal. So I pick it, was that a dream? Or I just don't know to this day.
Well, if you're all experiencing something, there's got to be, even if you are seeing different things happening, there was still something going on. So,
yeah.
It's not normal.
I mean, it's a long time ago. My memory is there, but I'm a bit faded now. I asked my brothers about it years later. They don't remember at all. So I'm assuming, well, maybe it was a dream there, But, I'm not going to definitely declare the paranormal. No,
But it was something.
It's wild how many people do. I don't think forget, but push these memories to the back of their mind.
Yeah.
And even myself, I've done it. I had a memory when I was 14. So when I first started Let's Get Freaky, I wrote down all my experiences. Everything that I could remember had happened to me that was weird. And somehow I missed this really bizarre experience. And it was going back to when I was 14 years old, and it was a beautiful summer's day, and me and a few mates and my brother were playing football in the street. And one of us has stopped and gone, "No, what is that up there?" And we're all looking up. And this sounds crazy, but literally there was a floating building. It sounds wild, but it was right in the distance, and it just looked like, say, a building that you get in Dubai, like these futuristic-looking, cool modern buildings. It looked like you pick one of them up and just put it right out in the sky, and it's just there, just floating. And we're watching this thing, and we're like, "Is that a balloon? Is that we're going through a plane? Is it?" To this day, I don't know what it was, but it was like an orangey silver color, and it was just like a weird-shaped building in the sky, but really high up. And we're all looking at this, and then for some reason we've just started playing football again, which is really annoying because I would watch that forever now. But we just started playing football again, and this memory, again, it wasn't forgot, but me and my brother never really talked about it. Whoever my friends were that day that were there, we never talked about it. Very strange. I find that very strange. But then when I first started Let's Get Freaky, I was on Paranormal Heart podcast with Cat Walls, and we're talking about UFOs and stuff, and I had other experiences. And this memory just came back, and I was like, I'm going to tell her. And I told her that what happened. And then a couple of days later, my brother listened to this episode, and he rang me up, and he went, "Bruv, what was that we saw that day, and why have we never spoke about it?" And I was like, "I don't know." But I'm so glad you remember, because I'm not crazy.
But I love it when you get trigger, and it's instinct. It's like, because they say that smell is the quickest memory you've got. So you'll smell something and it takes straight back to something that happened in your past, like when your grandparents' house are on holiday. And the same, when you get that trigger moment of the paranormal, it's the same thing. It's like, and you relive it again.
Yeah.
But like Tommy was saying, you carry on doing what you're doing. Like I carried on riding around on my bike. Didn't go in and tell me one day. Didn't tell my brother. Didn't tell any of my mates. So I didn't feel the need. It didn't scare me. It wasn't, I knew it wasn't normal. But I also, no, it wasn't not normal. Mm-hmm. That makes sense? Wow. So, and then other encounter, yeah, I still get scared now when I go out investigating. We went to probably the scariest place in Northampton, an old segregated church, so it's all just walls, but they still use it burials. And me and Ellie, we'd gone in one night to do an investigation, night vision goggles. It's on a bit of a slope, so we got halfway down and it's like, no, we need to get out of here. Don't run. So she's walking forward, I'm walking, and we both just want to run. I had a headache and feeling sick for like the next day or so. She was off work for 3 days. And we didn't see anything, but we felt there was something there, something not right. And then that happened, it's like, yeah.
It's really, what sort of experiences has just jogged my memory? Nothing happened to me, but I wrote about it, and I heard another guy talking about. He used to live in a funeral park. Yeah. And he said that he had the upper bedroom, and he'd look out under full moons, and he would see a football procession come up from I don't know of them. And they were not Victorian people. He said, when the moon was behind the clouds, the vision would fade away.
Yeah.
But when the cloud came across and then the full moonlight came out, the image came back again. And he said there was a man with sideboards and he kept swishing a stick or something. They do that.
Yeah.
In those days, anyway.
It's like clearing the way for the burial, isn't it?
Fuel positions. Had a butty. Going just to go back garden where his sweet wall.
Maybe, just to fear it, full moon is giving off frequency that allows you to see something that's already happened.
Yes.
It creates that dimensional flow.
Yeah. I mean, they say that there's certain herbs that they activate in some ways. They grow under the full moon. And then we talk about werewolves under the full moon. It's keep going noon each.
Oh yeah, well you know me.
So yeah, they could be helping to do with the lunar energies.
Yes,
we hadn't quite switched on.
I know it's the sun reflecting light.
Yeah,
but still, it must be giving something off.
Yes,
because the friend, I'm guessing they're telling the truth. I'm not going to make something up like that, and it's happening on tide. There's got to be something behind it.
Yes.
There's got to be.
It's a strange detail to make.
Yeah. You
can't make it up.
And that's the thing and this is why I love paranormal so much, because every encounter happens so quick, you can play it back in your mind at what the speed you want. It can so when I talk about mine, if I tell you in real time how it happened, 5 seconds, then I'm dusty. But that's why I relive it when I'm telling it.
Yes.
So I get every little bit of detail, tell you where I am, as much detail as I can remember, and that you can visualize what's going on. And that's how you can tell the difference between someone lying and someone telling the truth, because they can't give you the detail because they're having to think of it.
Well, that's interesting, because what you're saying there, Jackie, who we met this morning, so my coffee on. Yeah. But she's just telling me about the way she is doing a program with someone, and they're talking about Bigfoot. They managed to get this guy who called in and said, look, I'll do your drawing of your sighting of the Bigfoot you saw. And he had Scotland Yard photo.
Yeah, photo bit.
Yeah, sketch art. Yeah, and so he came in to do it, and so I don't know if she was filmed as they would do it. I think it was filmed. And she's describing the Bigfoot that she had seen in California or wherever.
Yeah.
And the guy from Scotland Yard is drawing it all out. And she said she didn't realise it. She said as she finally got to the last bit of it, the guy looked at the camera and he says, I tell she's telling the truth, because her body language, as we get to the last part of the sketch where I'm drawing the eyes, the mouth, whatever, she's moving away from the drawing.
because you're reliving the moment.
He said that's what happens when people are describing the attacker that I'm drawing.
Yeah.
Because as the attacker comes to life through the drawing, they're moving away inch once again.
And when someone's making up, they're going, well, sometimes you do have to think sometimes. You're trying to remember what happened. But when you're lying, you're not remembering what's happening. You're trying to think of something, and it's a different part of the brain, so your body language is completely different.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I've analysed Edgar Mitchell, Dr. Edgar Mitchell. Now, he was the Apollo 12 astronaut.
wow, that's another story. Yeah, the Studio 18 at Hollywood.
He talks about, he was into the ESP sort of stuff. Yeah, well, right. And he'd say how they did experiments on board the spacecraft, transmitting data back to Earth, and some of it, how do they pick it up or whatever. And he's quite happy to talk about Roswell spacecraft or stuff like that. As soon as he's talking in a separate interview about Apollo missions, what's it like on the moon?
Yeah.
He starts copying a lot.
Yeah, because to me, that's you can't.
They're nervous.
Yeah, sure. You're coughing because you're thinking, and you kind of like it's depending on your personality. I don't know. Some people don't care about lying. Is what I'm trying to say. But then, if you're put in that predicament where you have to lie because A will happen to you and whoever else, and you're like, you still don't want to do it. You kind of, or your natural instinct is to give something away. As I go back to Hidden in Plain Sight, it's the same thing but a verbal version, and you're like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? And it's that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about today now. So we're here at the Bridgewater. Is it Taunton? But I think technically it's Bridgewater, is it?
Well, it's TA sale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go on the road in Bridgewater.
Yeah.
All from Taunton.
Okay, no, I don't know. Somerset.
Anyone insider is anyway.
Yeah. I need to leave here.
So we're here at this Cryptid Conference UK. So what person could both of you, and no matter who goes first, is your interest in the cryptids, Bigfoot, Dogma, or anything in particular?
See, my cryptid is out since John Keel was Mothman. Just because of how fascinating it, yeah. Just because of how fascinating it was, and then I learnt about the Owlman down in, is it Morgan down in Cornwall? Started off in the 60s, 70s, and then there's been regular sightings right the way through until the 2000s. So it's always been Mothman. But I do have a Bigfoot tattoo, stating the original, like, it's stereotypical Bigfoot. So Bigfoot has always been there. It's just because of how majestic and the elemental side to it. And I know, Neil, you talk about the fairies and elementals and all that. And I do bring Bigfoot into that round because it's just so elusive. And I believe I have had fairy encounters, which I can talk about another time. But there's just something about it that puts all this together. Don't know what it is, but my gut feeling says Bigfoot is part of the elemental genre of the paranormal.
Yeah, so, well, for me, Bigfoot as well is the OG. And I remember when I was a kid having the Guinness Book of Records book, and I remember looking through this book, and it came to the Patterson-Gimlin film, and it was just shots of the film. And I just remember just being blown away by it, just being like, wow. And I remember showing my mum and dad, and I was like, Mum, is this real? Is this real? And they were like, yeah, it's in the Guinness Book of Records book, of course it's real. So, oh, and from then on, I've just had this fascination with Bigfoot and all creatures.
They've done extensive work on the cat, and now we have computer technology of analysing it, stabilising footage and everything. And there's the guy that's out there who mentioned it by last interview, where he knows all about the muscle.
Oh yeah, so it couldn't have been a suit because you can't get the muscle definition. Back in the 60s, even Hollywood, look at Planet of the Apes. Yeah, he's like, you did tell the distant. You can tell it's someone dressed up.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm not saying it's not good. It's good costume and makeup, but you know it's a person because you haven't got The muscle, like when the mouth moves, just for an up and like a puppet, it's up and down. You've not got the cheekbones, you've not got the lines, you've not got like ear movement. I wonder if it can be the ears.
Even John Chandup, the makeup artist on the Planet of the Apes film, but at the time said there's no way I could do that.
But when Patty stood at that stance, you can see, if I was to stand up now and do that, you can see the muscle in the back, in the calf and the thigh, because it pulls in and then you go and you cannot do that on a costume. It has a pair of trousers with fur out.
As the arm sweep,
Well, look at the length in the arms.
it rushes on the leg, the thigh, and there's like a mark where the furs run away over tight,
And when they figured out it's a female, who would think of making it look female? In Bigfoot, you think male.
Yeah, it's too hard.
Yeah. You don't think, give it a pair of breasts. But because it's comical. That's Monty Python. You know what I mean? It wouldn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for me, that's legit. The passing getting into
Yeah. It's got a bit.
So just tell me your podcasts and channels again. What the matrix? Oh, stop. Sorry. Okay, tell me on this.
Yeah. Right, so mine is Alienate UK. You can find me on YouTube. We do a live stream every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. UK time, 3:30 EST, 12:30 noon PST, Central Time, 2:30. I call it Texas time, but and it goes out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can get on Audible. You don't have to subscribe to Audible either. You can pick it up on there. Whatever podcast player you listen to, I upload the audio via Podbean. And that's it.
Mine is Tommy Cullum's Let's Get Freaky podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts, and we're also on YouTube as well.
Cool. Oh, can I just add?
Yep.
I've now started co-hosting with Kate Hairgirl Ray on Hair in the Hawthorne.
Oh yeah, Herman. She interviewed me a number of years ago. Yeah.
So we'll do that. At the moment, it's once a month. Who's going to do one this week or doing it next week? So both just visit. So going to be on that. I'm going to be talking about the conferences.
Excellent. Again. All right. Thank you, gents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.